occupants of interplanetary craft. Calling occupants of interplanetary most extraordinary craft. Calling occupants of interplanetary craft. Calling occupants of interplanetary craft. Calling occupants of interplanetary most extraordinary craft. You've been observing our Earth, and we'd like to make a contact with you.
I've skipped my leading intro on today's episode because, well, Karen Carpenter pretty much sums up our focus this week in just one line. Show off. We've been observing your Earth, and we want to make a contact with you. Incidentally, the original writers of this iconic song, which is now the global anthem for World Contact Day, is a band called Klaatu. Check them out. Totally cosmic. As you've probably guessed by now, we will be looking at the whole subject of UFOs today and the subject of contact with other worldly beings. In particular, we will be looking at the mind-boggling incident of a spaceship landing in a school's football field in Australia back in 1965. Amazingly, over 360 students, parents and teachers witnessed this event, but were later hushed up by an unhinged headmaster who ruled with an iron rod. But when E.T. showed up on his doorstep, he hid in a closet. That's right, I'm not even joking. Wasn't so tough then, was he? It's always that sort, isn't it? When the going gets tough.
When the going gets tough, the tough get going.
Yes, that's right, Billy Ocean, you sing it. Because this certainly is one serious jewel of extraterrestrial visitations. You've heard of the solitary eyewitness accounts of unidentified flying objects passing overhead and then otherworldly visitors interacting with those who've observed them. There are many. Some of these reports are real, most are not, but you know the story. The lone witness accounts or the dual witness accounts, like the young couple who are driving down a deserted desert road. That's right, it's a road that's deserted and also it happens to be in the desert. That's just looking for trouble if you ask me. In fact, with those sorts of variables, I'd actually be surprised if I didn't get abducted by aliens. Anywho, the case that we're going to look at is concerned not with one or two people experiencing something strange from above, but instead focuses in on 360 eyewitness accounts. That's right, one or two people seeing something odd in the sky could be put down to mistaken reporting. You know, is it a bird? Is it an airship? But 360 eyewitnesses being mistaken? Now, that's something to ponder. That would be like some mass hallucination type situation right there, and would warrant an investigation all by itself for like other reasons. I mean, come on, that would be some strong hallucinogen slipped into the villagers' water. And this spate of sightings does not span over weeks or even days. It all happens within the space of a single hour, one afternoon. This could be considered the epiphany of shared experiences, wouldn't you say? Let's take ourselves back through space and time. No, sorry, let me start again. A beginning like that makes it sound like we've come in on the story aboard the alien mothership, and we haven't. I'm just attempting to set the scene, the mood, and the place and the time. I know, this is a more appropriate way to start. The day is April the 6th, the year 1965. Over 300 children and staff from the Westall High School in Melbourne reportedly witnessed a large unidentified craft silently flying through the sky before landing in a nearby field. It is the largest mass UFO sighting in Australia, and yet, strangely, hardly anything was reported nationally at the time. And in more recent years, the local authorities, when questioned about the whole affair of a massive spaceship hovering over a load of children, pretty much say, yeah, whatever. On the afternoon of the 6th of April, in a classroom of a Melbourne school, little Billy showed up at his physics class and he was late. Mr. Binger, the physics teacher, said, "Hey Billy, what's your excuse this time, and don't give me any of your usual crap." Well, you can imagine Mr. Binger's face when Billy proclaimed in a loud voice, "Yes sir, I know I'm late sir, but there's a massive intergalactic spaceship hovering over the school." As you can imagine, Mr. Binger couldn't contain himself and, as such, began to spit fire, which was a shame really, because on this one occasion, little Billy was absolutely telling the truth. Incredibly, there really was an intergalactic spaceship hovering above the school. Blinking Nora, who'd have known? The children were all becoming agitated and looking out of the window towards the school's playing field, and when Mr. Binger investigated to see what all the commotion was about, he was baffled to witness the large craft that Billy was referring to, and what's more, it was only landing in a nearby field. The teacher rushed out in a confused state to try and get to the bottom of the bizarre happening, and kids, being kids, all followed. In fact, the entire school, teachers and all, ended up congregating in the playground to see what the heck was going on. And they witnessed the metallic craft rising back up into the air in anticipation of an attack from the US military. You see, the authorities had instructed a nearby military base to take control of the situation. What came next was tantamount to interplanetary cat and mouse, much to the amazement of the 360 onlookers. The whole incident lasted approximately 1 hour, but the memory of the experience remained with the spectators for an entire lifetime. Out of the 360 people who were all later interviewed by military-type personnel, over 80% of them, when asked if anything in their daily lives had changed or seemed different, reported that they had all experienced a sudden positive change regarding stuff they'd been worrying about for quite some time. Reports showed that serious matters like serious illnesses, as well as less serious matters like Barney forgetting to put out the bins each week, had all been resolved. Health was good, and as for Barney, well, he never forgot to put the bins out ever again. Brilliant! Alma, Barney's wife, said it was like a dream come true. Well, in a nutshell, regardless of what happened that day to the 360 eyewitnesses of these seemingly interstellar policemen, all's well that ends well. Sorry, what was that? Interstellar Policemen? Oh yes, didn't I tell you? The nearby military base were instructed by the authorities to ward off this huge, strange craft with whatever aggressive means were deemed necessary. Fighters were scrambled, yes, I know. It's starting to sound like the film Independence Day, but I must stress that this all actually happened. Look it up. And the fighter planes targeted the out-of-space visitors. As the fighters approached the metallic craft, time and time again in a series of passes, the large flying saucer simply blipped from place to place, sometimes moving slow and sometimes zipping 50 feet through the air in a blink of an eye, just enough to avoid the attack, whilst at the same time making the fighter pilots look like total morons. The strange craft moved in such a way that the onlookers could clearly see that the interplanetary visitors were not going to retaliate, and so therefore were most likely friendly. The adults on the ground that were witnessing all this aerial madness started shouting at the fighter pilots, "Stop trying to attack them, you idiots! What's with the aggression? What kind of a message are you sending out here?" Or words to that effect. And I'm no expert on interplanetary negotiations, but it seems to me that this would be like Father Christmas showing up in the school playground one day, and whilst a handful of kids appreciate the gesture and the gifts, a load of other kids show up from a neighbouring school and start chucking stones at him for no reason. Not cool, guys. I mean, amongst other things, this is just being a bit thick really, isn't it? An almighty metallic craft appears in our skies and lands in the way of what certainly seems like a friendly gesture. I mean, there was no reason to believe otherwise, and the authorities think to destroy these hyper-intelligent beings with flares and bullets and other assorted nonsense. This is a spacecraft that's undoubtedly travelled millions of light years through deep space, carrying a colony of alien dudes who have, through means of the intellect and no doubt massive brains, conquered all of the problems presented to us by space and time, and basically gone on to make the universe their interstellar playground. And the first thing our authorities decide to do is attack them. I mean, think about it. What if these aliens had decided to fight back? What if they wasn't friendly? What then? Yeah, seriously, this is one intergalactic hornet's nest that you do not want to thrust a pointy stick into and swirl around just to see what might happen. Idiots. Anyway, yes, where was I? It turns out these guys from outer space were in fact more than friendly and completely benign, and harming us couldn't have been further from their primary agenda, which, as it would seem, was simply to drop in on us, Earth that is, and convey a big friendly "Hi there guys, how's it hanging Earth dudes, don't be scared of us, and if you want to know more, we'll be in the bar. Oh, and by the way, you haven't seen a galactic A to Z lying around, have you? It looks like a galaxy in a see-through ball, only we've mislaid ours and we're currently late for a birthday party in the Alpha Centauri system. We can't miss my brother's birthday again. It's going to be another 100 of your Earth years before his next one comes around. Oh, and by the way, Earth years, 365 days for one revolution around your sun. Crikey, that's a bit fast. Don't you all get dizzy? It's just as well these alien guys were friendly, considering the ill reception they got from the fighter pilots. In fact, so friendly were our interstellar neighbours that, after the event, on being questioned by military-type personnel, many of the onlookers reported being miraculously healed in some way or another. So, no grudge at all there. Nice, nice. Okay, let's move forward a few hours from the incident. Enter Men in Black. Yeah, it really is following a series of events as though from a film. Now, I'm not saying these Men in Black were the Men in Black as reported to show up directly after contact with aliens, but, well, they were men and they were wearing black, so I'll let you decide. But for the purposes of this report, we will refer to them as the proverbial Men in Black. It only seems fitting, considering everything that happened that day, and, well, it wouldn't be right for the black-clad dudes to not show up at this point in the story, if you want my opinion. So, the Men in Black visited the school in question and interviewed the headmaster, which, as we've assessed, is hilarious really, because out of everyone involved, he was the only one who didn't see a thing. The truth is, whilst all the kiddies were outside seeing what was going on and enjoying the spectacle, our headmaster, who was, when all said and done, appointed to look after the kiddywinks, was busy bricking it in a broom cupboard. Hard afterwards to brush that one under the carpet. Did you see what I did there? Okay, moving on. The Men in Black were stern and showed no sign of emotion on their faces, but before we get all carried away and start saying they were aliens too, I really don't think they were, not from the reports I've read. I just think they were really rude and, well, underdeveloped as human beings, because they seemed to turn an already frightened headmaster into a petrified, out-of-control lunatic. He called a meeting. Hang on. What do they call those meetings in schools? Oh yes, an assembly, which in actual fact is not really a fitting word in this case, since assembly means the coming together of honourable people for a common good, and Mr. Headmaster here was far from honourable. Oh dear. Anyway, back to the assembly. The headmaster, chicken, instructed all those who witnessed the event to keep quiet or they would be in serious trouble with the authorities. He delivered his speech with passion and gusto, like his life depended on it. Shame he didn't use some of that passion earlier concerning the welfare of the kids. And in summary, he made the entire gathering swear themselves to secrecy. And if that's not a big enough shocker, all those who witnessed the event, most of them in their 60s now, who ignored the headmaster's warnings and spoke out, were all totally ignored by the authorities and completely shunned for over 50 years. That's not nice. Let us take a look now at a beautifully modelled flying saucer created by Mac Mave Studios, which, as it happens, bears a striking resemblance to the one seen landing in the playing field at Westall. I would like to point out that the 300 plus eyewitness accounts all stated that the craft was totally silent, which is fine, but I personally wanted to add some sound here, you know, for dramatic effect and, well, because it was fun. So let's see the full sequence, shall we, to give ourselves a flavour of the day's main event. I guess for all those present on that special day, it would have been classed as a lifetime's main event. Later that same evening, the same flying saucer-shaped craft was spotted by several different eyewitnesses, all at different locations around the world. The alien dude people were probably still looking for that cosmic A to Z they'd lost earlier in the evening. I hope they made it to the party.
And please come in peace, we beseech you. Our earth may never survive. Please, Interstellar Policemen,
Won't you give us a sign?
give us a sign
That we reached you.
My name is Johnny Magic, and you've been watching Johnny Magic's Mysterious World. Remember to like, share and subscribe to support this channel. See you next time.